There was once a time, see what I did there, when even getting 1 gigabit per second internet plans were few and far between in Malaysia. But these days, you'll be able to find 1 gigabit per second internet plans for home users from a number of different telcos such as Digi, Time, Unify. In fact, the latter two ISPs even offer 2 gigabit internet plans too, for those of you who really need the best home internet money can buy. Now, seeing as you're already going to be paying so much for the top of the line internet plan anyway, you may also be thinking about getting a new router for your home, to make sure you're really squeezing every single last bit per second that you signed up for. Before we go on to what routers you can consider to get to upgrade from your telco provided free router though, it's perhaps worth noting real quick that even if you sign up for 2 gigabit internet plan, you won't necessarily be seeing that speed all the time. This could be down to a multitude of factors such as network congestion during peak hours, server-side issues, or perhaps your 2 gigabit plan isn't a true 2 gigabit plan. Looking at you, Unify. Nevertheless, if you do want to upgrade your telco provided router to something with a little more gusto, we're going to take a quick look at the various different solutions you can buy today at various price points. These routers should be good for your 2 gigabit plans or even your 1 gigabit plans for that matter. Though, if you think we've missed out on any other options, do let us know in the comments below. Starting off with the best bangsawan Wi-Fi router we can find, it's none other than the Asus ROG Rapture GT AX E16000. It's quite a nameful, sure, but just take a look at it and you'll probably already be convinced about its performance potential. Asus says that the ROG Rapture GT AX E16000 is the world's first quad-band Wi-Fi 6E gaming router, with your regular 2.4 GHz band complemented by two 5 GHz bands and a 6 GHz band, all available through this one device. The 2.4 GHz band will be able to do 1148 megabits per second, with the other three capable of 4804 megabits per second speeds. By default, one of those two 5 GHz bands will be used as a dedicated backhaul to the central router, which still leaves you with a full tri-band access. Alternatively, you can consider getting an Asus AI mesh node and set up a 6 GHz backhaul connection for an enhanced mesh experience. Powered by a quad-core 64-bit CPU with 2 gigs of RAM, the ROG Rapture also offers a lot in terms of I/O, with two 10 gigabit WAN LAN ports, a 2.5 gigabit WAN port, 4 gigabit LAN ports, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 port, and a USB 2.0 port all on the back. Other features of note include Asus Range Boost Plus for improved coverage, and prioritization for gaming devices and game packets for the lowest latency possible during those all-important team fights. VPN Fusion, meanwhile, lets you run both a VPN connection and a regular internet connection, and of course, how can we forget, the all-important RGB lighting on the top. The Asus Router app, meanwhile, will come in handy for features like Asus AI Protection Pro and parental controls. Now, there is a good reason why we called it the best bangsawan Wi-Fi router out there, and that's because it's a rather expensive device. Available for 3,388 ringgit on the official Asus Malaysia store on Shopee at time of recording, the Asus ROG Rapture will likely be of interest to the few of you out there who already have either a 1 gigabit or a 2 gigabit plan and is willing to spend to get that every little single competitive advantage while gaming. If you're not super into gaming though and instead just want a reliable but still high-end mesh Wi-Fi setup instead for your mansion, you may consider the Asus ZenWiFi AX XT8 instead. Priced as low as 1,109 ringgit on Shopee at time of recording for a single unit kit, we'd actually suggest the 1,999 ringgit twin pack instead, especially if you're getting it for its mesh Wi-Fi capabilities. Now, we've actually reviewed this Wi-Fi kit before, and it remains our mesh Wi-Fi system in the office. Unlike the ROG Rapture with its gamer aesthetic, The ZenWiFi AX XT8 is a much more modest and sleek looking device. A single unit can cover 2,750 square feet, with a pair of them in a mesh Wi-Fi setup capable of up to 5,500 square feet of coverage. It does offer a tri-band setup though, no Wi-Fi 6E here, so instead it's a 2.4 GHz band capable of up to 574 megabits per second, alongside a 5 GHz band offering up to 1,201 megabits per second, and a 5 GHz band capable of up to 4,804 megabits per second. Like the Rapture though, one of those 5 GHz bands will be used for backhaul connection by default. On the back, there's 4 RJ45 ports, 3 of them gigabit and 1 2.5 gigabit, along with a USB 3.1 port. It also uses Asus's AI mesh system, and to set it all up, you'll want the Asus Router app, which can be used for parental control, setting up guest Wi-Fi networks, and so forth too. Like we mentioned earlier though, it really was a cure for our Wi-Fi headaches in the office, and for a dependable and reliable mesh Wi-Fi solution, the ZenWiFi AX XT8 should be on your list to consider. For something that's even more affordable, the TP-Link Archer AX95 may officially be priced at 1,099 ringgit, but can be found on Shopee for as low as 899 ringgit. It's not exactly a mesh Wi-Fi setup though, but rather is a purely no-nonsense, performance-focused Wi-Fi router out of the box. With a 1.7 GHz quad-core processor under the hood, the AX95 is a tri-band router offering 2.4 GHz band speeds of up to 574 megabits per second, while its first 5 GHz band can do up to 2,402 megabits per second, and the second 5 GHz channel will be able to do 4,804 megabits per second. On the back, meanwhile, is plenty of I/O with a 2.5 gigabit port, 4 more gigabit ports, and a USB 3.0 and USB 2.0 port too, with 8 high-gain antennas on the Archer AX95. TP-Link claims it'll be enough to cover up to a 4-bedroom house with just this one router. That being said, if you do need more coverage, it does support TP-Link's One Mesh lineup, allowing you to add on more mesh Wi-Fi nodes down the line if necessary. Lastly, we have the value-focused Mercusys Halo H80X Mesh Wi-Fi router system. On places like Shopee, it was going for as low as 589 ringgit for a twin pack, while the 3-pack kit cost 849 ringgit. It's, on paper at least, a no-frills dual-band mesh Wi-Fi 6 router that, for the most part, should be adequate enough for most homes really. It's capable of up to 574 megabits per second on the 2.4 GHz band and up to 2,402 megabits per second on the 5 GHz band, with 3 gigabit ports on the back and, well, pretty much that. There's no USB ports here. You'll want to get the Mercusys app though, which will let you set up the Halo H80X easily, which appears to be one of its strong points, and the app will also allow you to do things like manage parental controls, create guest networks, and so forth. With coverage of up to 5,000 square feet, you won't even need to get more H80X nodes in the future if you want to expand your coverage, as you only really need any other Halo H series device to add on as satellite nodes. And yeah, that's been our recommendations for the best Wi-Fi routers to get if you want to upgrade away from your telco-provided router to something that's a little bit more capable. If you're still thinking about getting a 1 gigabit or 2 gigabit internet plan though, be sure to check out our previous video on the best fiber broadband plans in Malaysia. This has been Raymond, signing out.